to. So share the screen. Hopefully you can see that. I'll do screen share from the slideshow from the beginning. And without further ado, let's look at 18 ways to be able to become unstoppable. It's all about being able to have confidence. So without further ado, who am I? Other than a Facebook stalker that's chosen to join Circle Networks? Well, in the last 17 years since I left the British Armed Forces, I've either bought or set up or acquired 4 of my own businesses, of which I've scaled and exited twice, taking businesses from startups to the first one I exited with 22 members of staff after 4 years, and the second one from 3 members of staff when I bought it to 37 members of staff when I sold it 3.5 years later. I've won 2 Global Entrepreneur Awards from America, from the Kaufman Institute of Entrepreneurship, for having a big impact in businesses. And most recently, I became the founder of what is called the Adazero Business Challenge. Our mission is to be able to support 1 million business owners to scale up sufficiently to take on at least 3 new members of staff, that collectively as a country, we can eradicate unemployment in this country by creating more new jobs than there are those actively seeking employment. So without further ado, let's kick off and find out as to how on earth we're going to be able to do that with a little bit more confidence. Got some great news for you today. 80% of business owners are wrong about everything. And I think that's a great statistics to be aware of and share. So before you all panic and reach for the Valium, let's quickly run through those numbers to find out where they come from, and then you can determine as to whereabouts perhaps you sit within them. In any business, in any sector, in any industry, not just here in the UK, but globally, we could categorize businesses into one of 5 sectors. There's 1% of businesses in every sector, in every industry worldwide that are smashing all the targets. They are leading the way, they are innovators, they are pushing the envelope. Certainly within not just my lifetime, but my business lifetime, I can certainly think of 2 particular individuals called Steve, who started out work in one of their parents' garages, who went on to become the most successful and richest electronics company in the world. So there are 1% of businesses who are doing exceptionally well. And there's a further 4% of businesses who are well on the heels of that elusive 1% club, that are growing exponentially year on year, and perhaps just haven't found the ways to be able to either automate or to go through the mergers and acquisitions program we run to be able to understand how to maximize and join that elusive club. But there's 15% of businesses in every industry, in every sector, the world over, who are making more traditional style growth patterns of 3, 4, 5%, sometimes seasonal, sometimes make a bit, sometimes lose a bit. But 60% of businesses the world over, of any size or description, either service or product, sometimes find that there's too much month left at the end of the money, and there's too much money left, there's not too much money left at the end of the month. They are almost stagnant. They are not making progress. They are fighting to stay where they are. And we've only got to look at Companies House statistics to show that 20% of businesses fail and close every year. So the good news is that the next time that you see a local or a regional or even a national competitor and think, they've got a website review, they've got a brand new website, they've started podcasting. My God, what have we got to do with this thing called Clubhouse? What do we do? Whenever you're following the competition as opposed to leading your own way, the chances are that 4 out of 5 of them aren't going in the right direction anyway. So instead of trying to follow the competition and trying to catch up and keep up all the time, the best things to do is to stop looking at the competition as a challenge to where you are in business. The first things to be able to have confidence in your own business is to be able to eradicate all form of external competition and understand that the only real competition is that from within. We have to have clarity on what it is that we're aiming to achieve if we're ever going to be able to achieve what we set out to do in the first place. I'm going to quickly whiz through a couple of quotes just to be able to make sure that we're on the same page. So first of all, from our dear friend who suggested a long time ago, insanity is doing the same thing again and again, but still hoping from a different outcome. If we always do what we've always done, we'll always have, and then I've put in brackets, at best, what we have already. And then more recently, one from Donald Rumsfeld, who said, we simply don't know what we don't know. And it's that willingness to be able to investigate and say, it doesn't matter how good you are at being in business. The chances are that you don't know everything that you need to do to be able to hit the accelerator and be as exceptional as you possibly could. And it's that openness and that thirst for being on a presentation like here today, and to be willing to be able to learn from others and to share good ideas that will enable us to be able to move the furthest round the board. And what do I mean by that, move around the board? Well, ironically, the problem in most businesses is the fact that we've all been taught how to play the game. We know that we've got to roll the dice and race around the board and try not to end up in jail and to try and get to go to collect our £200. But the problem is that no one taught us how to win in the game of business. We're all playing the same game, but no one has really taught us the rules to which we can confirm and accelerate to win. So over the last 7 years, as a guest lecturer at Manchester Business School and at UCLan, on their MBA program, rather than looking at success and these success blueprints that everyone perceives to be able to offer and sell on online these days, I've spent 7 years looking at what causes failure. Why? Because I firmly believe that there are so many more lessons to learn from failure than we will ever learn from success. And yet the moment we use the word failure, we automatically think, well, I can't admit to that. I need to brush that under the carpet and move on, as opposed to saying, why did it fail? How did it fail? What do I need to do next time so I don't do the same thing again? How do I address the things that didn't work in order that they work better next time? I'm sure Joe, in a previous presentation, will have come across the amount of people that have said, I don't do Facebook ads because they don't work. Well, I can guarantee you, I've got clients at the moment that spend £6,000, £7,000, £8,000 a month on Facebook ads. They wouldn't ever think of spending that type of money if it wasn't working exceptionally well for them. What they've done is they've understood that it didn't work the first time round, so they've addressed it again and again and again and again and made incremental improvements in order to be able to learn how to be able to make it work. I'm really fortunate that about 10 years ago, I was in America and had the opportunity to be able to have lunch with this guy. If you know who it is, write his name in the chat and I'll give a gift for the first persons to be able to write his name. But I was fortunate enough to be able to see this guy as he launched his 174th business. Now, although he spoke for about an hour and a half, there were two things he said, and they became so resonant to me that when I came back to the UK, I've had them turned into decals, and they're on each wall of my office. And one of them was this: most people think small, whereas I automatically think big, and it gives me the advantage. So what I wanted to share with you today, before I offer a gift towards the end of this presentation, because I'm conscious of the fact that I've only got 90 seconds left, is we are all constantly working in two different energies, two different flows. One flow is about pain and difficulty and challenge, and the other flow is about progress and movement and transformation. And we constantly live in one and the other, not and or the other, but and the other. Whenever I'm working and I'm making real progress in my business, it might be that I'm causing pains to my lifestyle and I'm working too hard, and therefore I haven't got an equal balance, a work-life balance. Whenever I'm really concentrating on being able to get my fitness right, both physical and mental, it might be that I'm challenging my financial circumstances. There's this constant battle between all of the things that we try and measure in our lives. And the right things to do is to acknowledge the fact that I can't be brilliant at everything all the time. It's only when we're able to be able to determine what is most important to me today, to be able to make an incremental improvement, even if it's from a 3 to a 4, that for the rest of my week, I can celebrate that little win and move on and be exceptional. I'd love to be able to offer you a free gift. And therefore, whilst we normally would offer this ebook as part of a day's training on confidence to become unstoppable, I'd love to be able to make it available to Circle members for free. So if you'd like to scan the page today, there's a QR code that'll take you directly to being able to access a 27-page ebook that we've used for the last 7 years to be able to help business owners around the world to be able to think differently about themselves and their priorities in order to be able to make a bigger difference for both them and their futures. God bless, take care. Thanks very much for listening. You're on mute now, sir.
Thank you very much. Do you know, as I went to click it, you stopped sharing and the screen moved. Some great stuff there from Jay. Thank you very much. So very quickly in the